The full circle has turned 1 year old. It is time to celebrate.
The Full Circle with DC.
And that was Cool in the Gang celebration there for those of you who are tone deaf, because obviously I did that perfectly. Thank you so much. A very, very, very good day, everybody. My name is DC. I am the host of The Full Circle, a show where we link songs together with the last song linking back to the first song, hence completing the full circle. It's a 1 year celebration. I cannot believe it's been a year. It's been an incredible journey so far, and I cannot wait to share what's going to happen in the future of the full circle moving forward. This full circle is a special one. I'm going to reflect on my year, on how it's been. I'm going to talk about some of the guests we've had over the years, and going to talk about what's in store for the full circle. Some of you have also asked me some questions, which I'm going to answer, and you'll also get my patented boom, boom, boom shout out as well. And we've also got some Abid's words of wisdom. We haven't heard from him in a little while, and I am super excited to hear the words that he's going to share for the 1 year anniversary of the full circle. So firstly, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone that supported me in whatever way you do it, whether it's just following me, whether it's listening to one show or all of them, whether it's liking posts, whether it's leaving comments, whether it's putting a rating on wherever you hear your podcasts, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, subscribing. Thank you to everyone that supports the show in any way, because seriously, there are millions of podcasts all over the world. And the fact that you choose to listen to my podcasts, or even if it's just for the guests, fair enough. Thank you so much. But whether you listen for me, whether you listen to the guests, it's just an honor to have you on. And it means so much. This show started as a radio show in 2010. I did it at my uni. It was fun. It was like uni banter, quote unquote banter. I know people don't love the word banter, but anyway, uni banter. And it was different. We used to do food challenges. The focus was less about the music and more about just having a bit of fun. The fun is still there now, but maybe there's more focus on the music now. So I think that's, it's a sacrifice. I think it does mean that, unfortunately, some of my mates that may watch it or listen to it back in the day, maybe I've lost them. And that's a shame, because obviously they mean a lot to me. But at the end of the day, if it means that new people like yourselves, or people who've invested their time on the show, are interested in this and love hearing me and love hearing the guests I have, then so be it. So thank you to everyone that supported me this past year. It means a lot, and I cannot believe the progression and the growth that the podcast has had. I didn't expect this, if I'm being honest. I did it more just for myself and more just to have a bit of fun. And if that fun means that even one of you is happy, well, that just means so much. And I can see with the numbers that more than one of you is happy. So thank you so much. It really means a lot. The songs for this week's Full Circle are going to be quite special, because they're 5 songs that have been chosen by musicians that have been guests in the past year. They're songs that I like, or I'd only heard for the first time, and I liked it when I heard it. So without further ado, what's the first song then that I've chosen for the Full Circle? So the first song is Million Dead, Living the Dream. And that was chosen by Frank Turner when he was a special guest on the Full Circle. Frank Turner was the first musician I got on the show. I still can't believe I'm saying that. So I remember that time absolutely bricking it. The first time I'd ever spoken to a musician like this. I have no connections with the music industry whatsoever. Obviously, I probably have a little bit more now because of the progression, but I've started with literally knowing no one from the music industry. and I emailed around, and one of the first people I emailed was Frank Turner's team. And yes, they told me it was meant to be at a different time, and it turned out it was actually a few hours later. But we got there in the end, and Frank Turner was an incredible guest. He got the format, he answered the would you rather questions, we played a fun quiz. It was about as raw as it could have been. I mean, my interview skills, I think, are slightly better than they were before, but that time I think it was a bit raw. And he enjoyed it. I mean, we've met a couple of times since, and he's a very nice guy. An honor to have had him as the first guest on the Full Circle. I mean, afterwards, the buzz I got, the high I got from that was incredible. It was like, whoa, I just spoke to Frank Turner, and it led to some people genuinely asking me if I paid for him. How did I get him? So many people asked me that. It was unbelievable. An incredible first musician to have on the Full Circle. And for that, I cannot thank Frank enough for coming on the Full Circle. Him and Bowling for Soup have recently gone on the Sappening podcast, a very good podcast. I mean, way bigger than mine. And it's definitely worth checking that out, because obviously Bowling for Soup and Frank Turner are together. So check that episode out. And obviously my good friend Andy from Behind the Camera, who will also get a shout out later, he's been on that as well. So definitely check out that episode as well. But thank you so much, Frank Turner, for being the first musician on the Full Circle. Right, it's time to answer some questions. So thank you so much to everyone that asked me some questions. So I did this as a story on Instagram, and some of you have come back to me and have asked questions. So thank you so much. And you're all going to get shout outs, boom, boom, boom shout outs as well. So the first boom, boom, boom shout out goes to Rhiannon Kearns. Boom, 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 boom. Rhiannon and Michael Kearns were incredible guests. They were one of the first guests on the show, and it was an honor to have them both on. They've been on the radio format of the show, and it was great to have them on as one of the first guests on the podcast. They were just so funny. I really enjoyed it. A great laugh. And Rhiannon asks, are there any songs you would completely veto on the Full Circle? Serious one, isn't it? Because to me, that's a high bar for vetoing. I think, if I'm being completely honest, I think the one artist that I don't think I can ever play, which I would have played had it not been for different circumstances, because I was a massive fan of theirs, is Lost Prophets. And that's the honest truth. I think, obviously, we know what's happened to Ian Watkins since, and we know what he's done, and it's horrible, disgusting, vile. And even though he is no longer alive, there is still no chance I can listen to the music still. There is no chance. And I think that's probably the only band that a band that I liked and have been like, I cannot listen to them. I cannot even have any association with them. I think it's such a shame, because we used to play Rock Band, and it's such a shame that on Lego Rock Band it still is there. And I wish there was a way to delete that. So yeah, so I think absolute no's would be that. There are relatives. It's tricky. It is tricky. This is a really tricky one, because obviously if a guest comes on and they say a song, it's really hard for me to be like, hey, I don't think I can say that this is going to be allowed on the Full Circle. That's a really tough one. And I guess maybe I would, if it was Lost Prophets, maybe I would say, oh, that's a band I probably wouldn't want to associate myself with anymore, given what happened. What's your views on that? Maybe that's the way I would talk about that. And I guess there might be other bands and other artists like that as well now. But I think the absolute one artist would be Lost Prophets. And obviously there are others who I definitely would be like, oh, I'm not sure. And let me know, are there any artists that you think, oh yeah, this is a definite no, I cannot ever listen to them, or they would never be on a playlist of mine ever again? Let me know what you think. Share your thoughts. I mean, Rhiannon, what's yours? Have you got any? I mean, who knows? I mean, we all have a threshold, don't we? I mean, some people they always say, some people will say, separate the art from the artist. I guess there is a bit of that, but it depends on what's been done and what's been said and how much you like their music. There's no denying it that all those sorts of things do add up and play a part, doesn't it? How much tolerance do you give? It's like that in real life. Like if you've got a friend who you get along with, there's history, and they say something, you're like, oh, I'm not sure how I feel about that. You might give them a bit of leeway just because you do that, because you're a mate and you know them. But if someone you met for the first time said something similar like that, you'd be like, what are you talking about? Go away, like do one. So it is going to be based on that, isn't it? Like that's the honest truth about it. So yeah. So for me, the absolute no would be lost profits, but open to more if people think that, oh, these eyes are a list of eyes you definitely cannot have on or whatever. Because I think it's important. I think it's important to respect that and think about that collaboratively. And some people might say, well, actually, no, anyone's allowed. And I'll be interested to know, I'd be interested to know why people think that. And I think that's definitely a conversation. Next one is by Liam Power Author. That's his handle on Instagram. So shout out to Liam Power. Boom, 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 boom. So he's an author on Instagram who describes himself as a writer digging into the edges where culture, psychology, and tech collide. So head over to his social media page on Instagram, Liam Power Author, and you can also go on his website, liampower.co.uk, where you can read some of his stories and some poetry. He asks, biggest challenges so far. So I think when I first started the podcast, there was no challenge, quote unquote, of like getting musicians because I only did it as a win. And I was pretty surprised that the response, I was pretty surprised at how many people did get back to me about it early on. It's because there is now an expectation, I believe, of me having more musicians that has led me to reach out more. And of course, that then means that more people will either say no, or I'm going to find it hard to get more musicians moving forward. Because of course, getting a level of Frank Turner, getting a level of Dan Winter, Bates, Berry Torora, obviously you are wanting to get those sorts of levels in specific genres. And that's not necessarily going to happen. Do you know what I mean? So the biggest challenge is that, but also balancing my podcast being like any other music podcast. I don't want it to just be an interview podcast. And it is like, dare I say it, this is the first solo show that isn't an album review in ages. So dare I say that the podcast is turning into an interview podcast. So it is about getting that balance right of like, well, I can see that getting guests on definitely increases the growth of the podcast, especially musicians. That's no disrespect to my mates that I get on. It's just the honest truth about it. But I'm not doing it. Like some people do a podcast or do these things for the sole purpose of money, fame, all that sort of stuff. Money, power, fame, as Don Broker say, anyone says really. But it's not that for me, because I never really wanted to do a podcast, if I'm being honest. And this is going to sound sacrilegious, I'm doing a podcast, but the show was always a radio show. I wanted to play music. I can't play music. That's the issue. So I think that's a challenge. So a challenge of getting that balance right between solo shows versus musicians versus mates. And then obviously the challenge then is selling yourself, because you can't. So for me, this is the best bit: recording and talking, yapping, as people like to call it now. This is the best bit. But it's all the bits after that are just tough. And that's not just a unique thing to me. I'm sure there's other people who feel the same. Like, obviously, I don't expect people watching or listening to this to know or to think about, because why would they? But it's about, think about the stuff behind the scenes. Think about the editing. Think about all those things that have to happen as well. I guess those are just challenges. And obviously, there's some things I like more than others. But it's a good challenge. Otherwise, I would have stopped. Do you know what I mean? I would have stopped. I would have been like, forget about it. And yeah, I see that there's still, there's this joke about what makes your podcast bigger, and the answer people say is be a celebrity. So yeah, so those are probably the challenges in a nutshell. But I think it's been an incredible journey. I've absolutely loved it. So thank you so much, Liam, for that question. Right. Reese the Unit. Shout out to Reese the Unit. Boom, 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 boom. That's his Instagram handle. So give him a follow there if you want. And that's something I do want to add, actually. There's so many people I've met on social media, spoken to on social media, message. That's so cool. Like, I'm always going to be open with that. If anyone wants to message me at any time, please do. Just go on my social media, follow me on Instagram, Full Circle Podcast DC, give me a follow and just message me. I'd absolutely love it. are happy to reply back, speak back. I always do. But he asks two questions. The first one is best gig you've been to, and the second one is favorite death metal band slash vocalist. Oh, so here's the truth, Reese. I'm not sure I'm a big death metal fan. I don't know, is that sacrilegious to say? I went on Spotify and like searched for like death metal playlists. Then Spotify said made for you. And I listened to some of them. It's just, man, I'm just not sure it's for me. I had to think about it. And I think the closest I can say is In Flames. And that's because they did a song with Pendulum called Self versus Self. And that is so good. Love that song. I wouldn't call that death metal, but if it is, then great. But Self versus Self is just an absolute tune. And so is Anders Frieden. I guess that would be my favorite vocalist. He sounded good on that song. And that is an absolute banger. And I think that was the song that probably got Pendulum to make like more heavy music when they came back, because they've got a style there. They work so well. So I don't know. Hope that's okay. And then best gig I've ever been to. Oh my goodness, that is tough. And actually, before I answer that, if anyone has any death metal bands they'd recommend, or what's your favorite, Reese, let me know. I'm happy to check them out. But yeah, best gig I've ever been to. That's really tough. I think Enter Shikari with Abby at Hatfield was something special. That was the first gig we went to when we started dating. We both loved Enter Shikari before then. The set list was really special. And that was just a very, very incredible weekend as well. So I think that's probably up there for me. More recently, seeing 21 Pilots at the O2 Arena, that was really, really fun. I really, really enjoyed that one as well. And I think something that's always going to have a special place in my heart, and maybe even two of them, is Linkin Park at Download when they did Hybrid Theory in full. That was so good. Like, just, oh my goodness, the crowd was just, I was like struggling to breathe, but it was super fun. And then their last show with Chester, I drove all the way when I was working in Norfolk to Birmingham. And I was like, really, do I do it? And I did it. And I'm so glad I did it. It was their last ever show. It was so bittersweet. Obviously, I didn't know that was going to happen. I was absolutely gutted when it happened. But yeah, so those are probably my favorites. I know that I haven't said the best, but those are up there. And there's so many that I probably missed out. I mean, literally, a couple of days before recording this, I went to see the Scratch, and they were super fun at the Electric Ballroom. So I just, gigs, it was definitely something when I was younger I couldn't completely afford, if I'm being completely honest. Like, and it's funny because they've gotten even more expensive now. But there's things that I sacrifice. So I don't, there's just, you budget, and gigs are just on the budget. Do you know what I mean? Live experiences, because that's my view. I don't have a lot of monetary items or valuable items or things like that. So I do experiences, and actually gigs. I'm learning this more as I get older. The more experiences you do, yes, you're going to be a little bit annoyed about the money at the time, but you're never going to remember the money if you had a good time, right? And live experiences, 99 times out of 100, you usually enjoy it. Unless you're seeing Cyndi Lauper at Glastonbury, bless her. What's the best gig you've ever been to, Reece? So anyone that's listening, what's the best gig you've ever been to? Leave a comment and share it, because I'd love to hear your experiences. I'd love to hear your stories about the best concerts you've been to and what made it so special for you. Okay, some more questions coming up, but what's the second song that I've chosen for the full circle? Well, that is a band I hadn't heard of actually until the lead singer of Bury Tomorrow, Dan Winter Bates, had come on. And that song is Dark Side by Hundredth. Now, I hadn't heard of them before, and I think they were maybe a little bit more heavy before, but I think they've turned into more like a dance rock type band. And I thought it was a really, really good song. Really good, incredible song, and incredible to have Dan Winter Bates on. Now, this one was something special for me. It was Abby that got me into Bury Tomorrow, and we met them. Was it last year or the year before? It would have been a couple of years ago when they were performing at the Roundhouse in London, and we met them because they were in a pub in Camden, and we had a photo. and we had a little chat. This is way before podcast days and stuff like that, so I hadn't even thought about that. And obviously, I know that he worked for the NHS. He doesn't do that anymore. He's just recently left. And I know about his mental health difficulties. And for those of you who don't know, I'm actually a doctor. I'm a psychiatry doctor, psychiatrist. I'm very interested in mental health, and I'm very interested in talking to people with their mental health difficulties, and also just thinking about what's helped them, and maybe just use this, even though this is a music podcast, essentially, use it as a platform to talk about mental health if that is what guests want to do. And Dan shared that. And I think it's commendable what he's gone through. And every day for him, he even spoke about how every day is still difficult for him. And he is one of a kind. He is truly an inspiration where he makes you feel special, but he makes sure that the world is special and everyone in the world is special. And he is all for inclusivity. He makes these safe spaces for mental health chats. He really is an inspiration. And I just remember just thinking, I could have done better. All throughout that episode, all I could see was that I forgot to plug in my laptop and the battery was running low. So I lost a bit of focus on that. And then at the bottom of the software we use, because this is the second time I'd ever used the software, so I didn't realize that actually it's okay if it doesn't move, is I couldn't see the microphone moving. And because it was the second time I was speaking to a musician, I was so nervous and being like, Dad, I'm not sure it's working. And all I could think about, and that's probably why if you watch the video back of me and Dan, sometimes you could just see my face looking very stone-faced, like basically emotionless, because literally all I was worried about was, oh, is he recording? Is it working? And obviously it sucks that I was worried about stuff like that. And maybe even though it's weird, like people talk about gigs and people talk about, especially musicians, they all talk about gigs and talk about how this went wrong and that went wrong and the audience don't even know it. To me, that's what was happening. But in fairness, there's so many nice comments that were left on YouTube, so it wasn't even noticed. But that's how it felt to me. And I wish I could do better. But obviously, it was still incredible to have him on. And I'd love to have him on the future if he was up for it. Wherever he is a different story. But yeah. And that song was a really good song, and I'm glad that he introduced me to a new band and a new song. So thank you very much, Dan Winter Bates of Bury Tomorrow, for coming on the Full Circle. And the second song, 100th, Dark Side. So some more questions. So Rena Friedman Watts, she is the host of the Better Call Daddy podcast, where she speaks to people who share their stories, and they could be fathers, or they may use their fathers as inspirations. The twist is that Rena speaks to her own father to reflect on the episode. Now, fun fact, she was a producer for Jerry Springer, and she asks, what have I learned, so what have you learned from your dad? So Dad and I, we still see each other regularly. We go to football matches together. We both support Coventry City, which I also just want to add, amazing that we've achieved promotion to the Premier League. I'll keep it brief and I'll leave it there. And actually, I'll just add one more thing. I'm going to be at the celebrations today on the day that this episode is being released. So that's going to be really fun to see the bus parade and go to the park, Memorial Park, for to see the players as well. Me and my dad, we see each other regularly. He was such an inspiration to me growing up. Without him and without Mum, I wouldn't be where I am now. And I know it's easy for me to say that, but it's so true. They have sacrificed. They have done so much. Seriously, it's incredible. It's remarkable. But the one thing that I've learned from my dad is that I remember him telling me, son, treat others as you treat yourself. And I think I really do my best to try and do that. I really want to treat others as if I'd want to be treated. I think if I treated someone in a way that wasn't like that, then that wouldn't be true to myself. And that is the number one thing I've learned from my dad. I've learned kindness and compassion from him. I've learned so much. I've learned lessons. He's given me so much advice just about life, about adulthood. about growing up, and it's incredible to have someone like my father be such an inspiration and a role model to me. And yeah, that's what I would say I've learned from my father. Let me know, Rena, what have you learned from your father? And obviously anyone else, what have you learned from your father? What's your takes on this? Now, I do want to add, obviously, not everyone has a good relationship with their father, and that's, it's one of those. And even that's something to reflect on and think about why and what could have been done better. But I'd like to hope that most people that are watching or listening to this have and can share that if they want to. Shout out to Rita Friedman Watts. Boom, 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 boom. Andy from Behind the Camera podcast asks, what has been the biggest lesson you've learned after a year? Shout out to Andy. Boom, 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 boom. He was a great guest on the Full Circle earlier. And you can check the episode out, and you can check the episode out I did with him as well. Head over to Behind the Camera podcast, anywhere you hear your podcast, such as Spotify, Apple Music, or on YouTube. He is smashing it at the moment. He's just reached 100 episodes. He is doing so well. He's got a book out. Excellent. He's just a top guy. And I do just wish him all the success in the world. The biggest lesson for me is that's a really tricky one. The biggest lesson is when a guest says yes, don't assume it's definitely happening. And I think that has happened a few times. And I'm not going to lie, it's annoying. I think if I were to say yes to someone, but this is just me. I think I don't say yes all the time, and I will only say yes if I definitely will do it. I I will say no. Like if I can't do it or won't do it, I will say no. But I will not say yes unless I definitely do it. I would rather someone said no to me and that's it, than someone saying yes and then they don't do it. I think that's worse. I did genuinely think that's worse. That's some life advice. Do not say yes if you are not going to follow through with it. Anyway, that's beside the point. So yeah, so that's the biggest lesson is when people say yes to come on the podcast, never ever assume until they are on the video screen or next to you in person recording it. And obviously I had Andy from Behind the Camera on, so I do want to just give a brief shout out, even though he didn't ask a question. That's not Dick, but I want to give a brief shout out to Frank from Reels of Cinema. He is absolutely smashing it with getting film actors and producers on his podcast, Reels of Cinema. And do check him out on the Full Circle when he was on last year, and check his episodes out as well. Hopefully the show we made together will be out at some stage, but given the incredible guests he's had in recent times, I have extremely big boots to fill. So yeah, Frank, hope you're keeping well, and thank you so much for the support. It really means a lot. Okay, what's the third song then that I've chosen for the Full Circle? So the third song is Enter Shikari, The Great Unknown. Enter Shikari, one of my favorite bands, and this was chosen by the MC, the vocalist of Hacktivist, Jay Hurley. Oh, what a legend. One of the few that actually we still contact each other, have his number, follow each other on Instagram and on Facebook. He is a top guy, and TikTok actually. He is a top guy, and he is just a legend. I've seen Hacktivist over the years, and every time I've seen them, they just put on epic shows, and I cannot wait to hear the new albums. They are working hard at the moment to release new music and release their new album, and I cannot wait to hear it. And hopefully they're doing another London show very, very soon, and I will be there because it is going to be absolute fire. I know it. And he was epic on the show. Loved it. Loved what he said. Spoke about his mental health so well. Spoke about what worked for him, and I think that's admirable. Took part in, Would You Rather. He really enjoyed it. I hope he enjoyed it. I mean, the fact that we've stayed in touch since, and actually, I would call him a friend. So that's so cool. And hopefully we can meet in person at one stage. That would be awesome. So yeah, absolute legend. And the third song is En Shikari, The Great Unknown. And he's toured with them. He spoke about how great they are. And yeah, I just really hope this album of Activists, when it comes out, is gonna just absolutely smash it, and I know they will. So good. So good. They're just an incredible band. Okay. Now I'm a little bit nervous about sharing this, but I'm going to share something that happened because obviously you see this. The thing about social media, the thing about these things is you got to talk about the positives all the time. You've got to talk about what's going well, right? Because that's how you got to portray yourself. And obviously there are times where people don't want to come on the podcast. There was someone who said yes, and this isn't an example of someone saying yes and like basically not coming on. This is a fair one. So they listened back to the podcast and they said, "Oh, because you don't play music, I just don't feel like it's gonna work." Which is fine. I mean, it is what it is. Obviously, I wish my podcast played music. I wish I had the rights to play music. Now it'd be cool if Spotify, if somehow this podcast or even YouTube, if anyone, if it, somehow this becomes big, then maybe I can get a deal. Who knows? Obviously, it's wishful thinking. But yeah, there's me at the start being like, I don't want it to grow. I don't want to get money from this. But obviously, if there was a way to allow me to play music, even if it's for free, then that'd be incredible. So I get guests in many ways. So either through direct messaging them on Instagram, emailing them or their management. Those are the main ways, or even sometimes face-to-face conversations. That's very rare. So you've seen that the guests have been, a wide variety. So you've seen that I've managed to get, obviously Frank Turner, Brendan Breebound of Wheatus, Panic at Disco, Brent Wilson, and very recently Joel Birch of Amity Affliction. And obviously these names are well-known names and people know them. And I was like, well, do you know what? Let me message some more people. And I messaged someone from a band that I absolutely love. And they definitely have shown some interest, although whether that will happen, I don't know. But we'll see. So then I was just like, well, let me just message this person. Let me just message them and be like, hey, this is the show. I've had these guests on. Not sure it's your thing, but if you want to come on, it'll be an absolute honor. Let me know. And it's someone that I don't follow. Sorry, it's someone that I follow on Instagram. And obviously they don't follow me back. Why would they? They don't know me. And since I sent them that message, sometimes I'll just check to be like, have they read it? Just out of interest. And since when I sent them that message, I checked maybe like 4 or 5 days later. And they now have a message on their thing saying people that they don't follow can no longer message them. So I think I have directly done that. I think I have directly been the reason why I've done that. And I'm going to exclusively name who that person is here. And that person is Jordan Fish. So shout out to Jordan Fish. Boom, 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 boom. Obviously, it was a stretch. There was no way I was going to get him on. I completely understand why he wouldn't want to come on. It was just like hey, why not give it a go? I am very sorry to anyone that he doesn't follow and wanted to message him and can no longer message him because of me. That is on me. My bad. And I'm sorry. Now, look, if he comes on, if he, in the future, if he comes on, I'll mention it. But the chances of him coming on this podcast or this show in my lifetime, 0.0000001%. And that's me being polite. And it's not meant to be a dig. It's not meant to be a bad thing. It's just that, oh, okay, fair enough. Obviously, me messaging might have been like the final straw. It might have been someone else, other people messaging him all simultaneously. And he was like sick of it. Or he was like, do you know what? I'm never going to do anything with anyone I don't know. And I have no intention of replying to anyone. So I'm just going to block it. Otherwise, it's just unfair. So I think all of these things are legit. It was just a bit unfortunate that happened after I did that. I mean, if anyone has his email, let me know. No, I'm joking. I'm not gonna. I'm not ever contacting him. But if he somehow sees this, I don't know how he will. Unless I do, I don't know. Unless I do decide to share it as a social media clip, risky. Then yeah, maybe. Oh dear. And I'm sure on Next Gen, Bring Me the Horizons Next Gen, where they bleep out a name, I'm sure they bleep his name out. I'm 91% certain it's his name. But yeah, anyway, don't know. Sorry, Jordan, if you're listening or watching. Right, what's the fourth song on the Full Circle? So the fourth song is New Order, The Bad New Order, and the song is called True Faith. And that was chosen by Julian K's frontman Ryan Shuck. Now he's someone that I wanted to get on from the very beginning. Julian K, I got into them at uni. So literally before my first year exams in 2011, I listened to them and I was like, whoa, this is so good. And Chester Bennington produced their first album, Death to Analog. They were originally a band called Orgy. They left and then they made Julian K with as some of the members still stayed in Orgy, but there were a couple of them left. And essentially just smashed it with Death to Analog. And I really wanted to get Ryan on from the very beginning. And we were doing a lot of back and forth, and obviously they do a lot of gigs and timings with the time difference in America was making it a little bit trickier. Yeah. But we managed to get there in the end, and we had an incredible conversation speaking about all their albums, just hearing about him and hearing about what he learned from Julian Kay and touring, and just yeah, it was epic to have him on. And I really, really enjoyed the chat. And he's someone that I've kept in contact since. He's a very, very nice person, and I really, really hope I can meet him in person as well. So thank you so much, Ryan Shuck, for coming on the Full Circle. Right. It is time. It is time for some Abid's words of wisdom. So for those of you who do not know, Abid Mushtaq is a savior. He is the wise one. He shares his words of wisdom to the Full Circle Nation. I hear them in real time and I give my response. I genuinely have no idea what he said. I ask him, hey, I feel like I need some wisdom, some words of wisdom from the wise one. Can you send me some? And he will then send me a voice recording and I just say, thanks, I'll check it out when I'm recording the show. And then I'll let him know what I think afterwards. I just want to say thank you to Abid Mushtaq for all the words of wisdom that you've given over the year. And you were on the Full Circle face to face as a special guest, and you shared some incredible words of wisdom then as well, some personal ones that impacted on you as well. So definitely check that one out if you haven't, because that was a fun show. That was a great show, and his words of wisdoms again were just so good. He is a top guy. He's a dentist by trade and a wise worder by night. An absolute legend in the Full Circle. If you do want to get some dental work done by him, you can, if you're in the Coventry area. And at the same time, he can give you some wise words free of charge. Not the dental stuff, you have to pay for that, but the wise words are free of charge. That's an additional thing that he will provide for free. I want to make that very clear, just in case someone thinks that I'm saying that he can give dental treatment free of charge. He cannot. He cannot. Okay. Without further ado, let's hear the words of wisdom from Abid Mushtaq.
Always remember to put sun cream on if you're going to be out in the sun.
Let's hear that one more time.
Always remember to put sun cream on if you're going to be out in the sun.
Abid Mushtaq saying it as it is. Always put sun cream on when you're out in the sun, because you might be at risk of getting skin cancer. That's the honest truth. Now, I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm gonna be very, very honest here. I'm mildly disappointed. And hopefully I'm wrong, but I think it's because he might have done this one before. I think he might have already told us to put sun cream on before. Unless I'm just misunderstanding. But it's okay. It's okay. Obviously, Abid, the wise words, sometimes we might repeat wise words. It's not a bad thing to repeat things, actually. It's in fact, the more you repeat things, the more likely you'll retain it. So in fairness to Abid, good on him for repeating it. It's important. But I think Abid has spoken about the importance of keeping yourself safe in the sun. And I think it's important to follow with that. And especially with the sun coming out now, I think it's a good idea. However, and I'm sorry to Abid. I'm really sorry to Abid, because obviously, no disrespect whatsoever, wise one. But this might be a repeat. This might be a repeat, Abid. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I am wrong. But this is why, and this is just proof that I don't listen to the words of wisdom before we do it. But you know, it's one of those. Good on Abid. The fact that he's given you those wise words, and especially, and I think it's a reminder during this time that it's important to put sun cream on. Always put sun cream on when the sun is out. Those UVs are very dangerous if you don't. Very dangerous if you don't. So, thank you, Abid. Apologies for going off on one there, actually, about you maybe repeating it, because actually, I feel like I've disrespected you there. And actually, no, this is a really important message. So thank you. And actually, you may not have repeated it. Now I'm actually a bit worried that you haven't repeated and I've just gone off on one. So actually, thank you so much, Abid, for the words of wisdom. If it's a repeat, if it's not a repeat, they are very wise words. I really appreciate it. And it means a lot. And I just want to say that it's been an honor to have you on and share these words of wisdom over the years, including the past year on the Full Circle podcast. Last song on the Full Circle is by a band called The Meths, and it's their new single, Disorder, Wake Up. They were the last guests from the first year of the Full Circle. It was so cool to have Lily on. She was so fun, and she complimented the unique style of the podcast and how it wasn't really something that she'd done before like that. She's done like podcast interviews, but it's a bit different. And that's what I want. I want people to sort of enjoy it and just have a bit of a laugh. And I was very fortunate to hear their new album, Business, that's coming out September the 11th this year. And it is so good. I don't want to ruin it too much. I cannot recommend it enough. Please do pre-order it if you can. Support them. They're epic live. They are going to do some shows during the week of the album release where they're going to be playing the album in full. It's going to be epic. And they've just done Meth Fest this weekend, which was absolutely epic as well. And please do support them, and at the very least just give them a listen, because they're so cool and they are fighting for people, they're fighting for quality, and they're just talking about the societal issues that are happening in the UK in particular and in the world at this time. So thank you so much to Lily for coming on, and obviously check out the episode as well that we had. It was super fun. Hence completing the Full Circle. Yay! Oh, wow. 1 year. Incredible. Thank you so much to everyone that's supported the Full Circle. Thank you to all my mates that have come on. And I want to give, obviously, I could say thank you to everyone. I could name everyone, and I probably should have. But I do want to say thank you to one person, and that is to my incredible fiance, Abby. Without her, this would not be happening. She's just, oh my goodness, words can't even describe how much she means to me. Like, she's incredible. The journey we've gone through, I don't think she ever thought she'd be doing a podcast, let alone how many episodes is done. I think we've done like 5 now. But she has been absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait to get married to you. And it's thank you so much just for supporting me, for being by my side, and you've made me a better person. And I think we complement each other so well. We push each other, and I do think we're living our best lives at the moment, and it's because of you. So thank you so much, Abby. Yeah, that's I can't, if I say more, I'm gonna start seeing some water coming out of my eyes. So it's important to to not to try and just keep it as brief as possible. But no, thank you so much, Abby. Thank you for choosing me, and thank you for just being the best fiance partner I could have ever asked for. So yeah, truly amazing. And thank you to everyone that's followed this show. I said at the beginning, there is this one thing I've got to say before the final thing, actually. What's going to happen to the Full Circle moving forward? Well, we've done a year, okay? And like I've mentioned, some bits of it are difficult, like especially the editing. And I think there has been a few interests in sort of the album review stuff I've done. So I've done a Don Broco one and a Chikari one. Now, whether that's because that's new albums, I don't know. But I was like, do you know what? I actually would be quite interested myself in just talking about music albums that I've enjoyed over the years. So that's what's going to happen on average every other show. So there's going to be the normal full circle will either be me or a friend or a musician or whatever, and we'll have the full circle. But then we're going to say alternate weeks, but it might not be dependent on whether the guest wants on a specific date, etc. So there might be some push arounds. But on average, alternate weeks will then have an album review where I will then create a full circle of my favorite 5 songs from that album, if that makes sense. The first one we're going to do is Linkin Park Hybrid Theory. I mean, one of my favorite albums of all time, and obviously not a very well known album. So I thought it'd be worth giving that a review because no one else ever reviewed it. But if it works, I might just carry on that format. So you still get a full circle every week, but one of them in just a slightly shorter, bit more music orientated, and just a focus on albums and songs. And I think it might be quite cool to do that. Just remember this: stay safe. Don't eat beef.